What is up, YouTube? So excited to dive in on analyzing a rental property, how to do this, the A, B's, and C's on how to do this. Make it easy, give you the tips, tools, and tricks that I use to analyze my rental properties. If you don't know who I am, I'm Matt Amabile. I am 26 years old. I was able to reach financial freedom at 25 years old, quit my job, traveled the world with my dog, go do my thing, started a podcast, Financial Freedom Fast podcast. And I did this all because I was able to buy rental properties. So I was able to invest in rental properties by partnering with others, finding great deals, and being able to analyze opportunities and recognize opportunities. The only way that you can recognize an opportunity is by analyzing and knowing your analysis and knowing that you are strong on your numbers. When you know what the numbers look like, you can go and buy a property because you know you're confident in your numbers. So we're going to dive in here. We're going to make it quick and easy. So let me share my screen and let's dive in. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to look for a rental property, and then I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on how to do it. So when we're looking for a rental property, typically we're looking for something called multifamily real estate. So this website here is just Zillow.com. So this is a website that you can go to. Anyone can go. You just Google Zillow, takes you to Google, click on Zillow, and that will bring up this map. You could pull up your area. I'm right now in New Jersey, and we are just going to scroll to an area. This is one of the towns that I do some investing in. So what we would do here is let's take a look at one of these properties. So if we take a look and we click on this, I'm going to take you to a calculator soon. But what we look at here is we see, okay, 7 Marshall Street in Phillipsburg is $199,000. And this is where we can find out some information, right, guys? So we have 2-unit home. You could see that here, 2-unit home, ready for new investors, newer gas furnace. So that means that some of these things might not need to be replaced. Shared backyard. And so this is 2 units, so likely upstairs and downstairs, and it says 2 beds. So that what that would mean is that each of these is a 1 bed. Now, if we wanted to confirm that, and what we can do is we can reach out to this person right here, Lynette DeLisa, and her phone number is right there. And now that's on basically every listing, right? If we go to a different listing, we scroll down, there's the number. And if that is not the right number, guys, all we have to do is take that name right there, copy it into Google, and look up cell phone. And that should come up. So you'll see here, it came up with his name. It came up with his other contact information. You could go there and we can go in on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep on this initial listing that we were on and see if we could find out any more information about this property. So we've got facts and features here. You can just click through these lists of things, right? So we've got facts and features. Click on that, and then we see that there is 1 unit of natural gas. So that's the heater. So the heater on it is actually not separated. So you're going to have to end up paying for that heat. Now, if we zoom in on this picture here, guys, we can actually see these are your electric meters. So these electric meters here, there's 2 of them, which likely means that they are split electric. So you won't have to pay for electric, but it looks like you'll have to pay for gas. And we will talk about why we're even looking at that when I bring us to the website that we use to do our calculations. So you've got a few things to worry about with utilities. As far as utilities go, it's gas, electric, and water. Now, typically water isn't separated that much, but one of the first questions we can reach out, we could reach out to a real estate agent and ask them, hey, is the electric separated? Is the gas separated? Is the water separated? And if it's not in this information right here, that would not be, if it's not here, you could just call the agent up and ask them and go ask them all the questions that you need. Okay, guys, so we have that information. Now, at least we are assuming that we would have to pay for the gas here, and we're going to have to pay for the water, but we're not going to have to pay for the electric. And now these are smaller units. So 1 bedroom, 1 bath. I would put the gas at each of these probably right around $75 a month. So we'll call it all in 150 on this house. Now, this is really easy, guys. Really easy. We go to a website called Bigger Pockets, and then we go right up to the top. At the top of Bigger Pockets, we see rental property. And what we do is we click on this calculator here. If we zoom in, rental property calculator, click on that calculator, and then start a new report. Okay, I've run out of free reports. So we can use this on a different platform. You do not have to use Bigger Pockets. What you can do if you don't want to pay for Bigger Pockets is to go to calculator.net. So what we do is we just Google rental property calculator, and they're the same exact thing. So I actually planned for that to happen. No, I didn't, but we're gonna say I did. So we go rental property calculator, Google it, calculator.net will pop up. We click on that. And what we can do here is put in all the information. So 200,000 is actually already in, and that's the purchase price that is currently in there on that property. So now we can take this and we're going to use a loan. What we're going to do is we're going to use an FHA loan, which is only 3.5% down. So that would be, or we'll do a conventional loan that's 5% down, and you don't necessarily have to live there the first year. So we'll do 5% down. These options, these loan options are out there, guys. Don't say these are not available. They are fully out there, and you can go and get them. So down payment is 5%. Interest rate, we will put it at 6.5% at the time of this video. Loan term would be 30 years. Typically, loans are 30 years on these residential smaller properties. So we'll leave it at 30 years. You can do that as well, unless you're getting a longer term or a shorter term. And that will be dependent on by your lender. But let's keep this at a 30-year. We're just trying to calculate for some cash flow here. And the closing costs, this is actually about right. I would maybe throw this up to around $8,000. Now, where do these costs come from, guys? Typically around 3% of your purchase price is going to be your closing costs, but I like to nudge them up. So 3% of 200,000 would be 6,000, but I like to nudge that up a little bit just to give us some more room. Closing costs are things like title companies. Title companies are people that make sure that you'll actually have ownership title, aka title to the property, and then you have your inspections that need to be done. So somebody will go to the property and make sure that it's not falling apart and in terrible condition if you want them to, which I love to have someone who can do that knows way more about properties than I do. Needs repairs, for now we'll just say no, because that property seemed like it had a lot of new stuff at it. Property tax, so this is where we need to find some information. What we can do is just go back to this initial listing here, and if you see at the top here, if you see it says price and tax history. So we click on that, price and tax history, and we zoom out a little bit, and then we'll scroll down here, and we see that these property taxes are $4,106. So we can just plug that in. Annual, $4,106. Total insurance, the insurance that we could expect, this is probably about right, maybe $1,400. What's the best way to calculate insurance? Guys, all you got to do is call, look at this, home insurance. and then whatever the town is, right? And then you can call these guys up. There you go. COE Insurance, Debbie White, State Farm Insurance, AA Phillipsburg. Or you could do an online quote, online quote, online quote. Put that in there. And you'll be able to get a home insurance quote on your house, this house, so quickly, guys. And that's a good way to find out what you'll be paying. HOA fee, I'm not even going to dive into it, guys. You're not going to have an HOA fee. If you do, you're going to be buying something like a condo and it's going to say HOA. Don't buy anything with an HOA if you're trying to invest. I'm just saying it. It's what I'm saying. Don't do it. This is the Homeowners Association, just so you know. Guys, you're not going to run into this if you're buying. If you're buying, just buy something out that's not an HOA and you won't run into this cost. Okay. Now, maintenance. This is a number that is a bit tricky. So what we want to figure out is what condition are the units in. And now we can typically, I would feel safe since these are smaller units. I would say per year you're probably going to put in probably right around $1,200 or so. So this is probably about right, $2,000, $1,000 per unit, but we'll put it at $1,250 per unit. So that's $2,500. For since there's 2 units on this property, we see top and bottom. We've got 2 units, and then other costs we are running in. They threw 500 in there. Let's just leave it. I like it. So other costs. That means that we are going to have other costs taken out. And these are things that we might not run into. And that's just good for us. If the cash flow still works, the deal still works with what it's at, then it will be a good deal if we don't get those expenses. So that'll be even better. Now, monthly rent, guys. So we have 2 apartments here, and we're going to assume that they are both 1 bedrooms. What we can do is just search so we go to this website, rento, so RENTO meter.com, and then we log in. And now all we have to do is there's an address bar. So it asks for the address. You can go, there it is, 7 Marshall Street. You can literally just pull the address from the top of the Zillow page or wherever you're getting this deal from. Throw a random rent in here, guys. It doesn't matter. It's going to tell you what is right. Now, these are 1 bed, 1 bath. We haven't confirmed that with the agent yet. We're just going to assume based on the information. So these are 1 bed, 1 bath. And so I put in 1,500 here. It says the average for the area is 1,319. So we'll go with 1,300 a unit, and that will put us at, with 2 units, 1,300 per unit. That puts us at $2,600 per unit. And then all we need to do, we don't have any other monthly income. Vacancy rate, this is the amount of time that people are not in the apartment. So if you have 2 apartments and one of them is vacant for 1 month, 2 apartments so let's look at the entire year, right? 2 apartments times 12 months is 24. So if you have 1 apartment that is vacant for 1 month, you divide that by 1 by 24. Your vacancy rate would be 4.1%. So 5%. You see how I did that there? You take the overall months that the property is at and what your expected vacancy is, and that would be 5%. Now, one way to find the vacancy rate, it's basically you can call up any real estate broker, and if you want to know how to do that, Google real estate broker and the town, and then call them up. Now, these are the people who are actually renting properties. So, like, see here, guys, you could call them. You could call them. Their phone number will be like right there. That was their phone number. Call. You can call them. It's not that hard. We can use Google and call them up. All you have to do is give them a call and say, hey, how quickly are you renting properties? You can also call these guys right here, which is property management companies. Okay, so we have property management companies, and what we need to do is just Google these guys, and I didn't even put my area in, so put your area code in, find a property management company, give one of them a call. These are guys that are renting properties on a daily basis. How long is it taking to get these things rented? What is the vacancy rate that you're seeing on these properties? Those are all questions that you can ask. So let's keep vacancy right around 5%. I know this area, so I would say it's a 5% vacancy rate. And then management. So this is if you're bringing in a property management company. And some people will manage their own properties. I do manage my own properties right now, at least. So my expense is 0, but we're going to throw 10 in just to you could find them for between 8 and 10. So we'll put 8%, 10% for the management fee. And one thing that I did not see here that could be hit are capital expenses. So bigger capital repairs that we're going to run into in the future on the property. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take our maintenance and I'm going to jump this up by an extra $5,000 a year. So that is for things like the roof, things like the furnace, things like the plumbing. Every single year, we're going to run into little expenses. Maybe we don't run into expenses for 3 years, but 1 year we run into one big expense that's $20,000. So that's $5,000 spread over every year. I feel safe with that number. So we're going to put this at $7,500 for maintenance. So that's to factor in our capital expenditures. So just remember, when we hit maintenance, we're talking about small maintenance, things like doing the flooring and things like shades breaking, windows breaking, and then bigger capital expenditure things like the roof, the furnace, the plumbing, the electrical, all those things. So we're just going to add that in on maintenance here. Now on the Bigger Pockets calculator, they do separate those out as maintenance and capital expenditures. So now that we have all that done, this information down here does not matter that much, but we'll keep the appreciation at 3 per year, holding like 20 years, cost to sell 8% makes sense. And we're just going to calculate this. So our cash flow monthly is not that great, guys. It's negative. So if we zoom in here, we've got a negative $103 of cash flow. Now, mind you, this is with a good amount. And now we didn't actually put in, let me go back here. Let me see if I can go and we can edit this, because what I did not see here that I did not put in were utilities. So something that I should have put in here were utilities for the month. And that is another thing to note that they do not have on this calculator that Bigger Pockets does have. So we would have that water expense, and we would also have that gas expense every single month. So with the water expense and the gas expense, we're looking at right around $120 for the gas every month. And these are all rates where if you're going and buying a property, you'll ask for the utility bills. You'll ask them to send them to you. So without that information, you can't know exactly. I would say right around $120 a month for gas and another $80 for water. So let's call it $200 a month on utilities. So that's an extra $2,400 a year that we're looking at. So I'm just going to add this to the other costs area. So $2,400 plus $500 is $2,900. So we're going to calculate this again, actually. And look at that. That's negative $300 in cash flow every single month. But we do have in here, we've got $247 in management fees that we're not necessarily hitting. $130 in vacancy that we might not have. But guys, overall, this is not that great of a property. You do see a lot of profit here with those average increases every single year. The 3% increase, cash on cash return is really great, but that is over a long period of time. What we want to see is a nice cash flow, a nice healthy cash flow. So what do we want to do? We still want to make an offer on this property, right? but it honestly might not make sense until we get down. So what we do is we come in here and we edit this to see where it makes sense to make an offer. And you'll have numbers in your head um where maybe I want $200 of cash flow per door. So that would mean that this property needs a cash flow $400 per month. And now that purchase price still doesn't even do it with the current interest rate. So that only makes us basically break even on this property. So things are getting a bit hot with these high interest rates here, right? So let's just take a look. If we had a 3% interest rate like we've had in the past, how much easier would this be? This property would cash flow $300. And right now it's not cash flowing anything. So we'll change that interest rate back to 6.5. If we really wanted to buy this property, we might need it at $100,000. And that'll make us $300. That's $150 of cash flow per unit. And this property is actually worth probably right around 180 based on this area, and I know it. But what you could do, I mean, this is what makes sense. This is how we underwrite properties and see what our cash flow is actually going to look like. So we do these analysis, and then we just take that price and we offer it. You tell your agent to go offer it. I don't care if it's a super low offer. Make tons of offers, and then you'll eventually get these offers accepted. And that, my friends, is how we analyze rental properties. This is how we do it. This is how you can do it. Go out there, find the price that makes sense for you to put an offer in, and then go out and put an offer in. So excited for you to get in there and get that done. Peace.